Hello and welcome to this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me, where we focus less on the this and more on the ability of what we can do. Join us each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the Disability Mobile Broadcast, Facebook Live, and LetGoRadio.net. Looking forward to seeing you there.
What's up, everybody? It's D to the J with a roll away, and it's time for episode 108. Don't be late of My CP Does Not Define Me. And as you notice, yes, the guest is already here. The show has already started, and the comments will pour in soon after. Yes, Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It has come. Another Wednesday. We're now closer to October than ever. Halloween is right around the corner, and they've got Christmas stuff out already. Can't we get through one holiday at a time? That would be a resounding no. Thank everybody for coming in. Welcome to the show. We have Miss Brittany, and I'm not going to pronounce her last name because every time I get it wrong, so I'll let her do that. Miss Brittany, thank you for coming back to the show for part 2. We are so glad to have you. Could you just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, and we will go from there. The floor is yours.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me again. My name is Brittany Rieman. I am a T12 incomplete paraplegic, and I obtained my disability due to driving under the influence of alcohol and prescription medication, and that was in March of 2018. So I'm coming up on my 5 years here soon. But that started a big chapter of my life. I was struggling with addiction and alcohol for the first year, and the day before my 1 year life day or anniversary of my accident, I got clean and sober. So I've been heavily involved in recovery and being an advocate. I am also Miss Wheelchair Maryland 2021, and my advocacy role was disability, substance abuse in and out of the disability community. I'm an avid advocate in the disability community, as well as recovery, and as well as a co-founder of the nonprofit, the Great Escape Recovery Lounge, here located in Charles County, Waldorf, Maryland. And it is a facility that is that helps facilitate 12-step program meetings. So any kind of 12-step program is welcome, and we encourage everybody to help and check out when they can. And then mother of 3. I mean, I can keep going. It will be here for a good bit, but that's just a little bit of what I do. Oh, excuse me. I'm also a transition specialist for accessible resources for independence. And that is a SIL in Anne Arundel and Howard County in Maryland. And I go into nursing homes and help people with disabilities leave and live independently. So I help them through that process as well. So my whole life and things that I do on a regular is of service to the community and as well as to myself.
You dabble in just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and your story was so powerful for part 1, going through, what you went through, and sharing the effect on yourself and your kids and what you had to do to get back where you are. Hi, Betsy. How are you? Thank you for tuning into the show. Appreciate it. Do us a favor. Leave us a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. If you have any questions for Brittany, please ask. She's an open book. Like I was saying, I mean, I've had a lot of powerful guests on this show that have told a lot of amazing stories, but your story in itself, just that realization point where, I've got to change this. I've got to get out of this darkness and back into the light again. And it wasn't all, Skittles and rainbows or flowers and rainbows, or there weren't hardly any rainbows when it first started, and you had to want it bad enough to get out of it, and the acceptance of realizing where you were in that situation. I admire number one, that you were honest enough, because acceptance is, I think everybody goes through denial. Oh, it's not me, it's this. If I can get past this, everything else will be fine. And then you find other things and other things and other things before you go, you know what? I've got a real problem here. I've got to figure out what it is that I'm dealing with. And the roller coaster of emotions that you went through, that you described, I've cried several times on this show. And, you know, I always say I wear my heart on the sleeve. Get back in there. Get back in there. It's just one of those things. I think with, you know, when you tell a story like that, but it comes from deep inside where the hurt and where the pain and where the darkness was. And then you transition. You talk about transitioning from the nursing home to independent living. So many people are used to having their independence taken away from them and going into the nursing home and saying, what do I have to do to get my life back? Talk a little bit about, before we get into too much transition, just the going from the nursing home back into independent life, because a lot of people don't talk about that. It's
Right.
usually the other way around.
Right. So, for myself, when I was injured, and they asked me if I had an accessible home to go to, and accessible means that I can get in and out of my wheelchair in my home. It is fully, ADA compliant, and I do ADA compliant because it is so just very base. But, if I can be able to move around my home, and I didn't, but then my family and people in recovery pulled together and converted my mom's basement to where when I got out of the hospital, I came home. But had I not had that, me being 30 years old at the time, they would have put me in a nursing home because I would have been considered homeless. And the nursing home has the necessities that I would require for me to take care of myself or, whatever. But and I've been working in this field for about 2 years now, and what I've noticed and what I've experienced is, when people with disabilities get hurt and they go into rehab, and then or when they have a guardian or a power of attorney that feels like they can't take care of themselves, they put them in a nursing home. And yes, the nursing home is there to, for our disability community, but, my experiences I've seen great facilities and I've seen very poor facilities, but the issues there lie that, now the state has you, and now you're deemed that you have, that all, like, even if you had your assets, say you had a house, say you had a car, say you had a 401k, say you had all of these things, they take that. And they say, well, these are the things that we need to make sure that you get your care. And here's a little side for you. And, you could have had a pension, you could have had all this stuff, you could have had SSI, SSDI, and they'll take all of it and give you probably about $80.
See, here's the thing. So your independence, not only from a physical standpoint, but from doing anything at all, is basically taken away. And a lot of people don't realize the cost that it takes to stay in one of those places. And I don't care how good it is. These things that you've had, it's taken your whole life to build. This stuff that I've got in my apartment is my stuff. I got my car sitting out there that's a fully handicapped accessible van that was donated to me. That's a $45,000 vehicle. Right. If you think that you're going to take my stuff, no. Yeah. And you got to fight for that.
Right. You do. And then, also there are state, people on state systems, Medicaid, Medicare, things like that are trying to take care of it. But, once you're in those facilities, it's very hard to get out because you have to have all of these things that they require for them to feel like you are independent enough for you to leave. Now, I work closely with state programs and state funding, Money Follows the Person's program, Community Options First Waiver. And I don't have time to explain all of those, so please go and fill your brains up with the resources. You can look it up and it'll explain to you the differences and what all entails. But basically what those things are is all of that funding. So everything that you need in that nursing facility, you can have in your own home or in an assisted living. Now, an assisted living is kind of like like in a middle place between your own apartment and a nursing facility.
Right, because they have the help. They have the help there if you need it,
right?
But you can do things on your own, not to cut across you. Sorry about that.
Right. Well, with these programs, it's like a third of the cost than what it would be as if you were in a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
So, my passion the past 2 years, and honestly, like, I don't, I don't do all of these things for them. I'm in a peer kind of role. So I
Mm-hmm.
roll in and I'm chipper and I'm dressed nice and I have a badge and I have a notebook, and they're like, wait a minute, do you work? And I've been a couple of times, they're like, excuse me, where do you think you're going? When I'm leaving, I'm like, I'm not a resident here. So, sometimes I get mistaken for a
Mm.
resident, but you know, the facility, they start to see me roll around, and they'll just ask, like, where are you, do you work here, are you new? And then I get to go, no, I actually am just here to see you, if you'd like to talk to me, if you like to work on personal goals. But mostly I'm a resource. So I'm with an organization that can give you the resources. If you want to leave and live independently, then you can apply for these things, and hopefully we can get you out. Now, with it being a state system, and with so many people that need these services, it is a very, very long process. I've had people on the application process and on a pending status for over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. But, we keep trying to help them in the meantime work on goals and making sure that they are coming up to the par of living independently. Because once you're in these nursing facilities, you got everything taken
Right.
care
And
of
it's
for you.
yeah, and it's very difficult to get
And
out.
then you leave and you don't have all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's, like, trying to get them prepared to be in, like, okay, this is what I can provide for you, services or resources. It's up to you, the person, the individual with the disability, to take that further.
Now, you mentioned something, and there's a couple of questions I'm going to ask here. You've seen the great places and you've seen the not so great places. When you come in and they say this nursing home is blah, 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 and they're not doing this, and they're not doing this, and they're not doing this, do you have things that you can do for them in that situation based on the facility, or is it more we've got to get you out of this to stop it from happening?
It really depends on the situation, and and let's be honest and let's be real on it. I'm kind of like a neutral party. I'm definitely there for the people with disabilities. If they're being mistreated, definitely we need to take care of that. But then there are some people there that just don't like to be tied underneath a rock and
Mm,
being
mm,
underneath of this, so they're just miserable. And so I have to hear from I have to hear from all sides. So I have to talk to the social worker. I usually am very close relationship with the social worker, and being like, and my conversations with the residents are strictly confidential, unless they're in danger, or I need to find out further information regarding their status within the state
mm-hmm.
process. But you know, there are times where I will personally not do it. There's an ombudsman there. So there's a facility ombudsman, and an ombudsman is somebody that is an advocate for the resident. So each
Okay, I've never
facility.
heard of that term. That's
So before I want to make sure like get the right definition, so I'm not butchering it. I'm gonna type it up real quick. But an ombudsman is pretty much the voice for the resident
mm-hmm.
to the nursing facility, and it is an official appointed to investigate individuals' complaints against the maladministration, especially that
That's a
of
mouthful right
it
now, boy.
is of the public authorities. So, what the ombudsman does, see, there's a network of resources for all the residents,
mm-hmm.
and we all kind of work together. So they talk to me, but then if it's a facility issue,
Mm-hmm.
they contact their facility ombudsman. They explain the situation. The ombudsman then takes it to the nursing home and is like, well, this is what I need to investigate. What is going on here, what is going on there, and kind of get more of the details. And they are a representation from the state too, and they're also to give the resident the information of their rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of us work together. A lot of us are a unified front. So, I mean, if that doesn't get taken care of, then they'll have, facility meetings. The residents, all of the facilities have resident council boards. So the resident council boards can also bring up these complaints and also bring up these issues with the staff. And they can invite people in and kind of, ask them questions and tell them their concerns and tell them what's going on. And it is supposed to let the staff know what they need to work on, because ultimately they are the ones that are there, that live there 24/7, 7 days a week.
You mention all these things that are there to help, and the ombudsman, and then the network of people. How do nursing homes get so bad if they have all of these things that are that they show them to work on? How does it get to where people are being abused and molested in nursing homes and things of that nature? And you have the facilities that are supposed to help you. How is it, how do you think it is that some places are so bad, but sheltered and said, oh, this place is great, when it's really not?
In my opinion, and I don't have the facts, I don't know, I'm not a guru at this, but from just my experiences and from looking at this and being in this field for a short period of time, every workplace has their issues.
Mm-hmm.
You have the nursing staff that, they have high turnover rates for whatever reason. So not keeping them fully staffed. And this is providing a care to people with disabilities. So, you have to have a special kind of heart to be in these kind of services.
Getting ready to say that.
Right. So sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's about the paycheck for the staff. And then also, because people with the disabilities get discredited for not having a mind of their own, or not being able to make decisions, or thinking that just because you're disabled, they're not going to believe you. And, it's a mixture of a lot of things. A lot of places are all about the money and making sure that they keep their numbers and their things up. And, but then there are some facilities that are really trying to do their best, but through COVID and through all of these other issues that they have, staffing's an issue, making sure that their staff is, on tip-top shape. It's a bunch of different things. And I mean, I could have residents talk to you all day about all of these things. But ultimately it's an issue that nobody wants to talk about. And it's an issue that nobody really understands or sees unless you see it yourself.
Excuse me. The problem with that is, just because nobody wants to talk about it doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be talked about. And that's kind of why I'm taking the approach of going about it this way, because I've seen some good ones, and I've seen some not so good ones, and I've seen some really, 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 really help me Jesus bad ones, to where you're going, how do you end up in a place like that? And it comes down to this. And really, my next question to you is this. One of the things that scares me, eyes are watering now because of my glasses. One of the things that scares me is, as I get older, I don't want to lose my faculties. I don't want to be talking to walls and talking to pillows and, hey, buddy, how are you? Shut up, let me finish. No, it's not that. I don't, but it happens. As we get older, things go, because it's essentially said, as you get older, you get younger, and your body reverts back to the stage. And is there something a person can do that has to go into a nursing facility or a living facility where they're fully taken care of, to where they can keep their stuff? Is there a form or something they can fill out? Is there some kind of spin down, kind of like with Medicaid, that they can do to where their stuff doesn't get taken from them?
Not that I'm aware of. If you have the money to be in a nursing home, then your stuff's safe. I mean, that I think that's the majority of it is, if you have the money and you have the insurance, then, you're safe. And some people are only there for a short period of time and don't lose anything, because, it is in a recovery process, and they're able to go back home or back into the community pretty quickly. But not everybody. And then there's also people there that don't have anybody, that don't have any living
Right.
relatives or things like that. So that's the only place they can go. And, you could try. I mean, you could see if you could keep, I don't know. There might be some facility out there that'd be like, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that you're going to be taken care of. We don't want to take all your assets and this and that. I don't know.
Is that kind of the difference with the independent living center, that you don't really lose your assets? Is that the
I'm not too educated on those things for me to really speak on too much, and I don't want to say something that is wrong and misinform anybody. But it really just depends on what your coverage is, and it's so
Mhm.
sad to say. It's like, what you have, what kind of money you can bring to the table, and what insurance you have that would better save you, and that's really all that I could really say on
No,
that,
no,
is
I get it.
because that's
I
what
was
I've
gonna.
experienced.
I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you. You said the transition to go from out of the nursing home back into the lifestyle that they lead, or the transition. Some of the people have been on the waiting list for a year,
Oh,
um, and
minimal.
and some more than that.
Yeah.
Is that because of state regulations? Is that why it's so difficult?
It's a lot of applications, a lot of people that are needing these services, and then it's also finding apartments or assisted livings to accept that waiver, to comply to that, and the space, because people with disabilities, we don't have a lot of housing. So it really comes down, after that, it comes down to the housing. Now we're in a whole different ballgame, because it comes down to the housing. And there's so many people that need one level homes, or ramps, or wide doorways, or any kind of different accessibility reasons for your house, but we don't have them. We don't have the capacity, or if we do have them, people aren't giving them up.
Right.
Once you get something like that, you're going to keep on to it until you can't, till you're done. Yeah, I mean, so it each step, there's always a process, there's always an issue, there's always something that needs to be worked on, and like, this branch can keep growing and keep going out and keep going out, because of how many other things that need to be taken care of and addressed to help back to the square root of what we're really trying to find, to help to get
Now
it back home.
let's dig into this a little bit, because even talking about it, how do you stay mentally stable without ripping your hair out on this? Because it would kill me. Because I'll tell you this right now, I'm the type of person, I can't stand to see people suffer.
Yeah.
And because I have a heart for people, and so do you. And I'm like, I'll go to bat. I'll be like, all right, who's up first?
Right.
And sometimes you've got to be like that, but sometimes you have limitations too, and you're only human.
Right.
How in the world do you stay sane enough and not lose your mind? Because I know, I think I asked Shannon the same question.
Yeah,
I mean,
Shannon.
doing this is not easy.
Mm-mm.
How in the world do you stay sane?
Well, I wear my heart on my sleeve just as much as you do, and it really infuriates me on, like, the fact, I mean, like I said, I could have been in these people's shoes. I could have been there. And
You
I'm
almost
just
were.
I yeah, right. I was very, very close. So it has me at my heartstrings. But honestly, it's a lot of my recovery, like, just for like, me being spiritually fit, me staying connected with a spiritual higher power, and letting know that I can't control any of this, that I only play a part. And my part is to make sure that that resident has those resources, and that they have, if they want to work on goals, I can help them with those things. And then on the other hand, it's me rolling into these facilities, and they excited to see me, and they remember me, and they're like, every time I go into a facility, I always meet, at least I meet one more person that's just like, I've been seeing you around here. What do you do? And then just the look on their face being like, somebody's on the outside doing this and showing, I've had a lot of residents, they're very sweet and very loving. And they my head would be really, really big if I had like this huge ego on, like, just how many times they tell me, like, how happy they are that I'm there. That
But
it's
that's
really
got to
just,
make you feel like $1,000,000 though.
yeah, and I really do it because it makes it, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of people that don't have anybody, and I get to see them once a month. I have
Mm.
15 facilities I work with on a regular, and then I'm about to help Baltimore with about 12.
Woo!
Yeah,
No
so
wonder you ain't got no time. Good Lord.
I make time, and there's time, but it's really just, I would want to see me in that facility if I was there. You know what I mean? So I try to strive to show them that they can do this. Like, it's
Let me
not.
ask you this, and we're kind of covering a little bit. I'm kind of glad we got on this because, again, when you talk about something that needs to be talked about, and people start tuning in, and the comments start coming, people go, "I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Oh, I really didn't know." And then you open up that whole, you pull the Band-Aid off the scab, and you go, "It's okay to talk about this."
Yeah.
What is the Chocolate Center for you? What would you say in doing this right now? Can you tell me one of your come on, CP, help me out. One of your fondest memories of helping people that has just made you realize this is why I do this.
I have a perfect one, and it just happened recently. There was a resident that I met shortly after the COVID, so COVID shut everything down when I first got this job. So I was doing this on the phone, and it's very hard to do this job over the phone. That people need to see me. But once I started getting into nursing facilities, there was one facility that I met this gentleman, and when I first met him, he was just real grumpy, grouchy, like, "Oh, what do you want?" Like, okay. So I was like, I'm just here if you want to talk. And we built up a relationship. And it's been about a year. I want to say about a year. And last month, he moved into his apartment. So I have seen the transition of the whole year, him waiting, all of the things that he's gone through, the things that we've discussed, all these interests that he has, building this relationship. And then my boss we usually like to do a newsletter on on residents that got out on the waiver, and on these services that we help provide. And so she was out of town, and she was like, "Can you stop by the residents house and take pictures for the newsletter?" So I said, "Of course." And I get there, and he just looked like a whole different human being. He was brighter. He was up tall, like he was sitting up straight. And you go into his apartment, and all of his belongings are there. And he's a veteran. And he has his drums, and he's got music playing, and there's lighting in the
He's got his
room.
life in him.
He's got life. You know what I mean? He's got
Mm.
life. And like, I got to take pictures of him, and I got to talk to him for a little bit.
And was it the
No, it was, and of course it was nothing but gratitude from him. He was like, "Brittany, you've really been there for me. Thank you so much for always, even though you didn't have the answers, like, I loved your honesty," and he just flooded me, and like, I had a teary moment I'm like, "You just don't understand how special," because I've not witnessed anybody leave the facility, and this is me working 2 years in, but known this
so
man
this
a
is your
year.
first one.
This was my first one. Right.
Wow.
So, being able to, share his little story. We didn't get to share all of it because there was only a small little newspaper, but just seeing that what I'm doing and where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in this position and I'm educating myself too, because I'm learning. You're talking about somebody that had no idea about disabilities, no idea about state regulations, no idea about any kind of programs for anybody with disabilities. 2 years into my accident, I get this job, and I've been here for 2 years, and this job is people that have disabilities are running this organization, like it just, or somebody that's close to somebody with a disability. And my knowledge is growing because now I'm understanding this world that I'm in. And it just means so much to me. It really does.
And the thing about you is, and I've got to point this out, you are honest enough to admit and to say, I was on the outside. I was the nothing can touch me. I'm the greatest. Da, 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 da. Bam.
Yeah.
Life knocked you on your behind, and it changed, and it puts you like, it slowed you down to the point of, okay, now I deal with this.
Right.
This comment, thank God for your advocacy, Brittany and DJ. You know that, Jeffrey, I appreciate that. You know, I look at this. I was born this way, and I when I see people like you, and let me understand why I'm saying this. You are Miss Wheelchair Maryland 2021. Okay, you look good in the dress. You can put all the makeup on. You daddy your face up all nice. You can answer all the questions. You can roll around la-dee-da with your hand up, waving with the crown on. You are not stuck up. You are not like, I'm better than you are, but you have this humbleness, and going through what you went through, when it's taken away from you, when you have it and it's gone, I will never know what that's like, because I haven't had it taken away from me. I was born into it, to what, this is what you got, deal with it, go from it.
Right.
You are, I'm this way, boom, this happens, transition, this, go through, fight, almost die, get back up, nope, not going to die, going to go through this, going to fix it, You do all of that, and now you're here, and I'm going, a lot of bitterness in there, a lot of anger in there, all those emotions, and you look at you now, and I see that life that you're talking about, that spontaneity, that spiritual connection, that God guidance. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There comes a point when you realize where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I searched. All right. I searched for 22 years to find myself. Thought I was supposed to do something totally different. Wanted to be somewhere and stop myself, because other people told me that's going to be hard for you to do. So I put it on hold. God allowed you to go through what you went through and to come out clean on the other side. But the story that you tell is not only coming out clean on the other side, you got to get cleaned up to come out clean on the other side.
And you got to stay clean.
and that's the thing. See, what I love about your personality is you can have the pretty face without the makeup on. You can have the pretty face with the makeup on. You're you, whether you're in the crown, at the workplace, with the kids, with the man thing over there. I'm just saying, there are very few people in the world that can be themselves all the way around.
Well, I appreciate that, and I thank you for saying that. I definitely didn't think of myself that way. Like you said, I've been gifted 2 lives. I was an able-bodied woman with a drug addiction and a lot of trauma and a lot of pain and a lot of anger and misdirection. And up until I was 30 years old. And now, I'm only 4 years old. They say that the age that you start using drugs and alcohol is the age that you stop growing. So, I think I started when I was like 11, 10, somewhere around there. So I'm only like, 14, 15 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I'm rewiring my whole lifestyle and how I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like I had anything to give. I didn't feel like I was a person that was of an importance. But my disability opened my eyes, and I'm a hard-headed individual. So God gave me a lot of signs way before I was paralyzed, and I was just not wanting to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But this was my gift. My disability was a gift to me. it was hard to accept at first, but it's either I lay in a bed for the rest of my life and want pity, and people don't understand me, and I trap myself and I isolate and I, do all of these things, or I get with the program. I find people that have been doing it, that know how to do it. I stop beating myself up. I find
That's
out
the
who
big one
Brittany.
right there.
I can beat myself up. Nobody can tear me down like me. I tear me down
We are
way,
our
way
biggest
more.
worst enemy and our worst critics.
Absolutely. So having a spiritual awakening and having some guidance, I found out, like, Brittany, you're not that bad. Brittany, you're not the ugly duckling. Brittany, you're not
No,
a
you've never been
horrible
the
person.
Mm-mm.
But these were the things that I had,
Mhm.
in my mind, that's what I felt. That's what I saw. I didn't like having mirrors around, and I would doll myself up, but really I was a dolled up trash can, because inside I was just
Inside you were a mess.
so nasty. But
Mhm.
now I've been able to find something in myself that I didn't even think that I had. I unlocked a new level, and now I'm feeding that new level, and
And growing in that new
and
life.
growing, right. It started with finding the Rolettes and going out there and seeing all these girls, coming back to Maryland, finding Shan and Minnick, and start, I competed in the Miss Wheelchair Maryland competition in 2020. I got runner up. It was okay. I accepted it. And then COVID hit. And then I was the first one that they said, yeah, we want you to wear the crown this year. I did my advocacy role. In between that, I got a job working for people with disabilities to educate myself. I stay involved in my recovery. I also helped through COVID open up a nonprofit organization through me and my friends. They're just all these levels that I unlocked, and it's scary. Like, I'm scared of success just as much as failure, because I don't think I'm good enough. But I have
And
proven over and over again that that's not true.
That right there, and I've kind of kept these questions on the back burner because I was waiting for that. There's two things I want to comment on what you said. One, living two lives. Okay. You've been gifted, and you use the word gifts. Christina McCormick says, wow, congratulations. Sounds like you're loving your current jobs. Those patients are lucky to have you. Thank you, Christina. This is very true. Let me just say this. I can count on my hand the number of people to say my disability is a blessing or a gift. When I was 12 years old, after I went through, when you go through accepting who you are, you have to understand you come with what you come with.
Right.
Okay. There's certain accessories that you get. Okay. When I was, to go through life and to say, okay, this is what you are. I knew from the beginning to be where you are, to lose what you had, because you lost a lot, but you also lost a lot of that negative crap that you were dealing with. And you look at it now and you go, you've come complete full circle. Now I'm going to say this on the air and they're going to go, what? I didn't see the advantages of cerebral palsy until I was about 15. Aside from accidentally backing into girls' ankles and them landing in my lap, not saying anymore, I didn't find the perks, as it were, to CP. Yeah. But I tell you, you learn to slow down. Yes. And cerebral palsy or disabilities or anything that you deal with where it's not an ACE, where you're a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 6 or a 9, you wonder, am I good enough?
Yeah.
How am I going to get good enough? When I finished my first album, one of the reasons I wrote My Chair was, am I good enough? When are they going to stop staring at me? When are they going to look at me as the same as them? We've been the same as them the entire time.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
See, you mentioned something right here, and this is where it's going. And I see them; they're starting to. When we accept ourselves as we are, and we come as we are, that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
When our lives are going to.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do this CD since I was 8, and I'm going to this point because this is where it got real for me. For Brittany to say I was gifted 2 lives, you understand how important that is. I may not be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Give a protocol on the standing part of it, because I don't stand for much anything, except for a couple things I will. But anyway, but going from that to lose everything in that, because you said you were a T12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just that is from the waist down, or is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah.
Understand, paralysis is not. That's it.
Yeah.
Bathroom stuff, legs, feet, don't work, gone. I'm lucky. You understand what I'm saying? I'm lucky because when you in a wreck and you cut the spine and break that, and all them nerves and they're gone, and you very rarely get it back. So now to be, she's so thankful for it. See, get me preaching on here, Jesus.
It's okay. It's okay.
I know I'm it kind of sparked me when you said it's a gift, and I'm like, oh, this girl done.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The thing is that not many people get to come back from an accident like I did. Not many.
Exactly.
And then on top of it, I was killing myself for drugs and alcohol too. So it was going to happen one way or another. And this accident gave me a life I never thought I was going to have. I am more of a mother. I'm more of a girlfriend, a daughter. I mean, a coworker, an employee. Like there's just, it was something that was unlocked, and it was a lot of, I can't just turn away this gift. I have to do something with it. And then I found passion behind it. And then I found people like me behind it. And it just keeps growing. And I just, I can't take this gift and beat it up. I can't just take it and be like, you know what, I thanks for it, but whatever. Like it means so much more. So my gift of me
you
being
also
able,
liked yourself.
right, absolutely. But my gift, I'm able to help others. Like God, we have things there's a person that I am very close with, and he says all the time that we get picked on, or what does he say? We get picked up to be picked on. And he's talking about God. I went through all of these challenges and all of these issues and all of these traumatic situations because I was strong enough to go through them. I didn't know that. My God did. For me.
And nobody knows that at the time.
Nobody knows that but God. Nobody knows how, my chapters and my books are already written. I'm just now living it. You know what I mean? So I'd rather leave the world better than when I came in it. And this gave me a lot of ability to do that because, when I get people that stop me everywhere I go because I'm not your typical wheelchair user. I'll get out of my car and I have a regular SUV and I pop out and I start putting my chair together and then I roll over and pump my own gas and go in the store and, I go grocery shopping, pushing a cart, and I get asked all the time, but I guess it's just like, I'm just an example. I am being used as an example. So I don't want to give that away. Like I want to keep growing in that. And that's where it is a gift because I can help other people understand this life or whatever, whether they were having a bad day or they thought that they couldn't do something. And then they see me and they're like, man, that girl just did all of that, and I get that all the time too. Like you just brightened up my day because I inspire a lot of people. And it's just me living my life. I'm just living my life, and I'm not trying to make it out to being like, oh, I'm going to inspire people today. I'm
Mhm.
just living my life.
You said you're an example. I'm going to go one step further. I would say you're the example.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You said you were an example.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would take it one step further. I'd say you're the example, because not trying to, but you got to look at it this way too. When you go through that, you remind me of the onion. You peel it back and you peel it back and you peel it back, and layer by layer by layer by layer. Eventually, you get to that core, that hardened center of the onion. A lot of people don't realize you have to cut that out to get the layers to fall, because that center is what holds it together. Your center was me, 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 me.
Mm-hmm.
Your center was I. Now your center becomes outward, and it gets bigger, because your heart was being molded to help people. You had no idea at the time. You went through what you went through, and all of the crap that you dealt with to keep it clean, and it just piled. And no matter how much piled on you, I look at it now and I go back and I say, okay, how am I supposed to handle this? Because they ask that question. People will ask that question as far as, what am I supposed to do now?
Mm-hmm.
You took it, dealt with it, boom, boom. Next issue, boom, boom. But the point is, what you kept doing, and this is what a lot of people struggle with, you can't go backwards.
No.
People try to spend their whole lives going backwards. I wish I could have been. I wish I could.
Yeah.
Change
If
the
you
direction.
continue to look backwards, you're never going to see what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm. That's exact. And people live their lives like that.
Yeah.
Their entire lives trying to get somewhere they've already been, where if they will just, whether they have to pick up their foot and put it down,
right,
whether they have to roll forward,
right,
you have moved and transitioned. That's the word of the day. You've transitioned from where you were
mm-hmm.
to where you are, and the hand that you were dealt, you cashed in on.
Yeah.
How many people can you say cashed in on what they had and used it to an advantage to help others along with themselves?
Yeah. It's always a transition process. We're never the same people. We're the people. I'm Brittany, you're DJ, but I'm not Brittany that's 5. I'm not Brittany that's 10. I'm not Brittany that's at 30. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always evolving. And if I hold on to all of the anger, the pain, the resentment, all of those things that kept me so dark and down, I'm never going to be able to grow. I'm never going to be able to feel the brightness of being able to go through those things. I was always in the problem. Oh, poor me. Why is this? Why is that? I can't get a break, this and that. I'm in the solution now. And it's a law of attraction for me. If I put negative energy out there, I'm going to get negative energy back. If I put positive energy out there, I get positive way more, and because I'm doing things for others, it comes back to me tenfold. I still benefit from giving what was given to me.
Look at if you keep the storehouse full, what's he say? If you keep my storehouse full, I will bless you what? Tenfold.
Yeah.
He actually says, test me on this.
Yeah.
That is the only place in the entire word where it says test me.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to say one other thing. You think of a pineapple. Okay. It takes a year for a pineapple to grow, and a pineapple grows down in the dirt, in the soil, in the nutrients. That's where you were.
Yeah.
You were down there, man.
Yeah.
And you talk about, your kids and them sticking by you and the whole, that whole thing. I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm good. But that's the one thing that I want is children.
Yeah.
And I'm getting ready to be 41 in December. So, but I look at it and I had a thought, everybody gets stuck on one way. And listen to this, because I want to say it out loud, and I want you guys who are listening to understand this. There are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of ways to give someone love.
Yeah.
Thousands. There are kids that need adoption right here in the good old US of A. They need a home. But more than that, they need someone to show them that they're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, am I good enough? That question right there is a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Miss Winnie Wilson, and I got to say this out loud because she is one of the stars of my galaxy. If you put positive in, you get positive out.
Yeah.
If you put negative in, you're going to get negative out. And when people get wrapped in the negative, it draws on everybody else.
Yeah, it consumes you and it can consume everybody else. And it's just not a way to live. Because I'm going to tear, if I'm in a nasty state, I'm going to tear you down way before you're going to tear me. You're going to bring me back up. I could take everybody that loves me and that is close to me down with me like that. But if I work on myself, then it hopefully it gives them a glimpse of, wait a minute, she's doing this, so maybe this will work. It's that law of attraction, and I just don't want the negativity. I used to be very and I'm still very outgoing, but I used to have all these people in my life, and I used to have all these so-called friends, but really, I don't have any of that anymore, and my life's a lot better. I'm centered.
So they weren't really your friends, were they?
Right, absolutely. And I mean, through my injury, I definitely realized who my friends were and who they weren't. And through my life situations, and people are in your life for a reason, season. There's some people that are going to be there just for that period of time for you to, grow and experience something, and then they leave. But there's some people that are, they're going to be there for a lifetime. And I have those people. But it's being real and honest about where my headspace is, and that, I think, is just such a genuine part of being able to be an example for somebody else, to be an honest and vulnerable.
We've got about 9 minutes left on the show, and I want to bring this out because I deal with these people all the time. I say I can't stand fake people. I don't. They will try to make you think they're your friends and do stuff for you, but it just, I don't do fake people. Did you consider yourself fake at one time?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And how did you, what made you get real? When did the real hit?
Really, like, it was probably like in my first or second year in recovery, because I'm a very headstrong, very, outspoken woman. And there was some things that were going on in my life. And I was like, why is this bothering me? What's going on? And I still have some of this today. Like, this is a defect of mine, because I'm always trying to make sure that I'm keeping my side of the street clean. So, I was fake because I didn't know who I was. So I was trying to impersonate some other people that I either thought that everybody wanted to be me to be, or what I saw with the people that I liked, that I wanted to be around. But they're just masks. They wasn't who I really was. But I think once I started really working on myself and like finding out like my deep, dark traumas and how I was raised and how I saw things. And, it was just a lot of breakdown mentally. I started to change, and then I started to blossom. And then I started to just be like, it's really like, for me, I was fake because I didn't love myself. I was trying to make sure everybody loved me, and I was going to put this persona on. But in reality, it was a fake person. Now I'm as real as you can get. You either love me or you hate me, or you don't like me. I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. My life is good today.
You know how I can tell when she gets like the
vein. Yeah, I get it. It's you're not the first person to tell me that.
No, but it's like I mean that's the passion though. because what I hear from Brittany is the passion. And that's what was missing from your life.
Yeah.
It was, and you talk about the signs. So let me ask you this. Man, this hour went fast. What is next for you? What is next on the agenda?
You know, I thought that I was done with. I went to massage school when I was younger, and I thought that that was going to be my one thing. So, and I was like, I'm never going to school. I'm not the school kind of type. But you know, I think I really do want to venture back into school and get my peer support credits, and you know, maybe do a little bit more of doing the recovery route. But also, you know, just staying in the now, making sure that I'm still fulfilling my position, you know, accordingly. And, you know, I'm looking to buy a home and trying to get that going, and having my own home, because I still live at my mom's basement. So, you know, it's been almost 5 years. It's time for me to nest. You know, it's time for me to get out and be with my
you're working
family.
toward it, though.
But
See,
I'm working toward it. And you know, just really just staying clean and sober, staying close to God, being there for people that need it. I mean, really what I'm doing now, but if I can intensify it, and wherever God takes me is where God takes me. I'm happy, and that's what matters to me today. I really don't know what's next for me. It's already taken care of. I just have to play my part.
Last question I've got for you, and I saved this one for last because I know it kind of affects you a little different. What do you think your kids see now in the mommy they have now? What is it for them?
You know, they know what a mom is. They know that their mom is there for them, and that they, you know, that I'm a real person. I have emotions, and I'm doing the best that I can. And you know, I don't know, that I think that they're proud of me. I think that my daughter actually wanted to be on tonight, but she doesn't have Facebook. So I told her I'd show her the show later. But, you know,
what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect from the radio real quick, because
okay.
I don't actually want to end the show yet. I'm going to go over just a little bit, but I'm going to disconnect from the Disability Global Broadcast, and also from Let Go Radio. But I want to say this. You can join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for My CP Does Not Define Me. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. This is D to the J with the roll away, saying this show is still going to go on. I'm going to do this because I don't think we're supposed to go yet. And I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the radio because I know I've got an hour there. I'm going to keep going for a little bit because I think we're getting ready to hit something here, and I want to kind of get into it. So we're going to disconnect from Let Go just for a little bit, but we'll still have the show going. So bear with me just a second here.
You're scaring me, DJ.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Hold on. Come here, you little thing. Where are you? All right. There, I stopped that. Now, this is why I did this. This world is based on time. We have time.
Time is precious.
Last time I was on the show with you, I was like, I'm not supposed to end now. And I'm going, you know what? This is my show. I'm gonna do what the hell I want to do. So I turned off the radio because I got to be clean on the radio.
Yeah.
And I still got to be clean here too, because I don't want you to think I'm one person on the radio and I'm one person on Facebook. The thing that I love about this, you look at it, the seasons change, right? In the summer is hot, in the winter is cold, in the fall is beautiful, in the spring you're, you know, and everybody's all lovey-dovey, or maybe they're hot and sweat. I don't know, because spring and summer kind of. But the reason I'm talking about this is because the change within you from where you were to where you are, and I keep talking about that. But there's one point that I want to bring up. You got 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I want one. You gotta find the camera. One. And you know, in having children and going through what you went through, have you asked yourself, and I'm sure you have, and again, if you don't want to cover, I don't want to get into anything too. Have you ever asked yourself how were they when this happened to the now? And that's why I ask what they kind of see, because they went through. I don't know if if they were there when the how far back,
Right.
well, 4 years ago, I would say so. So, but how did they deal with it? And
So my older two children, they were 10 and 7, or I believe, yeah, 10 and 7 at the time. And, at the when I did have my accident, they were already living with their father because I was messing up before then. And, their father was like, I think it's best for them to stay with us. You can come and visit them when they need it, this and that. So it was in that process that they were transitioning from not having me all the time to being with their father and their stepmom. And my son was 10, so he's a little bit older, so he understood a little bit more. And I'm my daughter, she's my middle child. Looking back at it, they were scared. They were
scared for you?
scared for me. They were scared of the unknown. They didn't, my son was very upset with me because I promised him that I wouldn't drink anymore. And of course, I messed up. And then, he was such a mama's boy at that time. So, I broke that trust with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been hard trying to gain that back because, through this happening, they've been living with their father full time. My older two live in Virginia. My youngest one, she lives with me. And then my youngest is 8 months old. So this is all she knows. She's never seen me walk, or she was 8 months old at the time. I'm sorry. She's not 8 months old now. She's 5 now.
I was like, wait a minute now.
I didn't have a baby. I apologize.
Whoa. And I go off the radio.
I didn't mean that. No, I didn't mean that. So she was 8 months old at the time. So that's all she knows is me in a wheelchair. So, and I could see the differences. I can definitely see the differences between my children because my children were grown and they knew me before. And then they had the old mom, the using and drinking mom, and now they have the recovery mom, but they don't get to see me but on weekends or holidays, or it was that transition. So, and they're grown up. My son will be 16 next week. My daughter's 12. So, actually recently my son and I were able to have a conversation, and he was able to open up to me and tell me how he felt, and that I didn't even know how he felt. And he felt detached from me. He felt not as close as with me, and he had some feelings, and I couldn't have heard him 5 years ago. I would have been real upset. My feelings would have been hurt. Me. But now I can hear him. I can understand. I put them through situations that they didn't, that they had no choice in, just like how my mom and my dad put me through situations that I had no control over. I'm trying to repair those relationships today. So making sure that I stay connected with them, that I'm there for them, that, when they're ready to talk, that I'm not shunning them away, and I'm not, my facial expressions tell how I feel. So I'm trying to work on that because I don't want them to not feel like they can talk to me or they're going to hurt my feelings. Sometimes my feelings need to be hurt. And sometimes that
hurt's got to come out.
Right. So I now am able to be a understandable, reasonable mom and person because they're individuals. They're human beings. So they all have their own feelings and concerns and all of these things. So I'm just trying to be there. I'm just trying to make sure that those lines of communications are open and that we can stay. So there's been a definite difference and change because they're not little kids anymore. They're teenagers. And then my youngest child, 5, she's my little nurse. She knows what to do in my wheelchair. She tells people what to do in my wheelchair. She's very compassionate. She's very just in like, she could tell you my mommy was in a wheelchair. My mommy's in a wheelchair because she was in a car accident and she's paralyzed. She knows what a catheter is. She knows, like things that usually typical 5-year-olds don't know, but it's their experiences. As much as I hate to say that I put bad experiences in their life, I did. But I can't change any of that now. All I can do is try and repair it and remold our relationship. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. And we're able to have these uncomfortable conversations today.
Do you see yourself having all three under one roof?
I would love that. I would love that, but I can't take my kids away from somewhere where they've grown up all their life. To me, I'm just not going to do that. My older two have been in the same school district since they've been in school. I didn't have that. I went to 20 different schools. I went to 3 high schools, 2 of them twice. If they choose to come with me, I'm more than welcome to have them, but they're getting to an age where they have the choice, and I don't want to push that.
Now, I want to tell you guys why I got off the radio and why I just took this extra 5 minutes. For the people watching this broadcast, what you just heard, again, Brittany I've had her on my show twice. I could have her on 5 times, and each show would be different. For those that are recovering and in that stage where it's not going to get any better, I can't get out of it. This is happening over and over and over and over. There is an end. There is an end. The problem is the person that is dealing with the issue has to want and to see an end. Because that right there, admission to the problem is number one. Admission to the problem is number one. Wanting to make it better and wanting to see that it's existing and needing to get out of it, seeing that end, the light at the end of the tunnel, it's there. You got people that say, I can't get out of this. This addiction is too hard. You can get out of any addiction if you want it bad enough. Mm-hmm. There has to be something in your life that is more important than the pills, than the pain, than the drugs, than whatever it is. Whatever you're dealing with, there has to be something in your life that you've got to focus on to get away from it. But you can get away from it. And when you do, you're going to see that your life will change. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, and it's going to be a journey. But I wanted Brittany to explain that, and I asked that question because children are resilient, but they feel, and they hurt, and they care, and they want. A child doesn't need 10,000 toys and the biggest home on the market and the newest shoes and the newest outfits. And God, I got to be trendy. They want love. They want to be accepted. They want to be known. They want to be cared about. They want to be part of what you are. But when you've got that negative side and that dark part, and you bring them into that, they are brought into it, and sometimes they get into it. And it's a web of, oh my God, who am I going to hurt now? And that's what you got to watch out with the dark. But the thing about this is, you hear what she said at the end. I would love that, but I'm not going to pull my children out of what they have and who they love and who they're with, because that's their lives. Do you know how hard that is for a mom? I'm not even a father, and you understand what she just did. Again, sacrificing everything for her children. That's what she's done. All of this stuff that she went through and the pain that she carried, that's why she got through it. It's one of the main reasons she got through it. Her kids. Because they wanted to see her succeed. And she didn't bring them into it. And yeah, it's emotional because it's real. But that's what you have to see. So if you're dealing with molestation or drug addiction or suicide or not being good enough. You can be.
Yeah.
That's what this show is about right there. You got to find the end of the tunnel. And sometimes it's buried. Sometimes you got to dig your way out. Sometimes you got to bleed a little bit. Sometimes you got to go through that hard rock and hit rock bottom. But when you hit it, as I said on the last show when we ended, there's no place to go but up.
Right. There's a lot of that that I agree with, but then I also just want to reiterate, I if I tried to get clean before my kids, I wouldn't stay clean. If I tried to get clean for a job, I wouldn't stay clean. If I tried to get clean to not keep my house and my job, all of these things, I wouldn't stay clean. I stay clean because I have to change. I have to make the decision for me and me alone. I am a ripple effect. I can either drop and it just slowly ripple and go out, or I can be a tsunami and I can make everything just I can just take everything out with me.
Yep.
It ends with me. It starts with me. It ends with me, but it's not always all about me. And I say that because it takes a very humble person, and and I do feel like, and understand that even though I want my children with me and I could go and fight their father for custody and I could do all of these things, which I've done, and I've fought for our custody battle to be my children's decision, if they want to come with me or if they don't. If they have a school event and they want to stay home for that weekend and we're scheduled to go, Mom, I've got this going on. Okay. My son has homecoming. He wants to be there. I will make sure that he has the items for it, but I don't want to take those things away from him. I've taken so much away from them that I don't want to take anything away from them. In reality, I'm helping them, even though it hurts me.
Right.
It hurts me, but it's only a feel like that. That's only temporary. But the thing is I'm proud that I can do that and I can say that. I miss my kids every day. I wish I had all of them. But then the minute I have them, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But that's just being a mom, But on the end, but at the end of the day, they are becoming young adults. So I have to treat them as such. I still have to be their mother and I have to regain that trust back. So it is going to take time. And if anybody is struggling with addiction or with mental health or just with anything, please just reach out. You matter. You have no idea what is waiting for you if you just push through. If you just ask for help. There are so many people in this world. I guarantee you, as soon as you start telling, you get comfortable and you start feeling that you can open up and vocalize what is really, really hurting you, guarantee you somebody's felt that way and they can help you get through it. I've seen it so many times. We are not alone. We don't have to fight this alone.
We are good enough.
We are good enough. Absolutely. And the sky isn't even a limit, really. There's just so many capabilities that once we believe in ourselves, nobody can take that away from us. And we only grow bigger. Nobody can take that away from me. I have worked so hard and I've done a lot of damage, but I'm still working through it. It's a never-ending process. I'm still continuously growing, but honesty and open to a simple suggestion and knowing that somebody out there knows my pain, let me find them. See how they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of being there for one another. Is that we feel our connections. We're humans. We know when people are pained up and feeling, but then there's some people that wear that mask very well. And, the ones that are laughing and go-getting and this and that, they're the ones that hurt the most. Mm-hmm. So we need to check on our happy friends too, because those people like to, those happy people, that's their face. That's their facade of being, okay, everything's great. But then deep down, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've been there. I have been there multiple times. I've tried it. I wasn't successful because I had a better plan God had a better plan for me. So I just try and utilize that.
I'm going to say one more thing before I end this show. I've said I admire you before, and it's not because of your story. It's not because of what you've been through, but you know, one to tear down is hard enough. To be torn down and to hit rock bottom and to be at the end of your rope is hard enough. But you've come back up. You've rebuilt yourself. You've rebuilt your relationships. You have changed your entire thought process. And the comment there's over 90 comments that just in the last 20 minutes, just boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. This is what I'm talking about. This is the area. This is when I feel at the top of the mountain. When I'm able to do a show like this, where you can deal with the crap, but you can deal with the clean too, and you see the other end, and you see success. And I see it, but what you had to do to get it. That's the meat of the issue. And I commend you for that. I'm
Look, the people that have the most struggles are the strongest people on the earth. Those are the people that are strong enough to go through it. And I've witnessed it myself. I experienced it myself. I used to say, God must think I'm a superhero because all the stuff he puts on my shoulders, I have no idea how he thinks I'm going to do this. And now I embrace that. Like, I got chosen to be picked on. So therefore I can be here for other people. So anybody that's struggling with any kind of trauma, you got picked. You're picked. I know it's a nasty situation and I don't know what it is, but there's a beauty and there's a blessing in this somewhere. You just got to stick around long enough for you to find it. And I want to stick around long enough to find all mine. And that means I'm going to go through a lot more hurdles. My life is not over. It's never going to stay bright and sunny all the time. You have to go through the nasty dark to get back to the light. It's an up and down spiral, flip flop, whatever you want to do. I embrace the ugly as much as I embrace the beauty, because I know every time I'm going through a really traumatic situation and it's hurting my soul, that means I'm coming with a blessing if I choose to work through it, if I choose to deal with it and be honest about my part that I play in that, because I play a part in every bit of it. Some of it's not my fault. Some of it is. I play a part. So recognizing my part I play, recognizing that there'll be some ups and there'll be some downs, but I'm here for it. I want to see what happens.
But see, it's that itself, being able to admit that and being able to be in that moment, because a moment is just that.
Yeah.
It's a moment and then it flurries by. But you not only flurry, you're bringing other people this way instead of this way.
I had a situation that happened recently where I saw, I have a friend and I was seeing real bad behavior and I wasn't liking it. And I wasn't like, I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, what is this? Why? And it was bothering me. Even it had nothing to do with me, right? It's none of my business, but it's bothering me. And I'm talking to people about it. And just last night I had an epiphany, and it was because I'm going through the exact same thing. I see myself in somebody else and I don't like it. There's a disturbance in the force, and it was just shown from a different friend. And now I have to go back to this friend and being like, okay, so our conversation, the other day,
something in me.
There's a reason why I'm feeling the way I am. So thank you. And now I can work on something, because now I have something to work on. I have something that I know has been a challenge for me for a while that I need to let go. It's a very hard thing to let go, but I need to do it because it's only going to better me. It's going to free up that pain. It's going to make me feel confident and self-loving and embrace all of it. So, that's just the journey of life. there's all kinds of obstacles. You got to see your part in it. And, typically when you start to see things that you don't like in other people, chances are it's because you've got something in yourself that you need to work on. And I've done that multiple times.
I'm gonna say this. I know I've said this 20 minutes ago, but one more thing.
We'll wrap it up.
Celebrate the little things. Celebrate the little things, because that part in itself, to heal, there's got to be some good that's got to go in.
Absolutely.
And I think, in all of this, I got through it without shedding a tear. I'm pretty happy with myself. It was hard. But I think in all of this, you have to, we said it at the very beginning of the broadcast. The only way you can get real with yourself is to come as you are. Mm-hmm. Take those masks off and stop.
It's okay to be you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's okay to not even know who you are yet.
That's all right.
It's okay too. Just come as you are. We'll help you. There's people that want to be there, that want to see the growth, that want to see the process, because people did it for me, and I can't wait to watch other people do it and see the darkness and the bottomless pits and the spiritual bottoms. I'll have rock bottoms throughout my whole life. That spiritual bottom is the one I don't want to ever experience again. That spiritual bottom, that was my spiritual bottom, to now go ahead and keep my spiritual connection. My spiritual connection is people that are like me, people that have experienced worse or better situations. I love the fact that people can be honest and open when they're scared and hurt, but it's okay. You can do it. We welcome you. We want you to find out who you are, because we love you. So why don't you love you? I'll love you until you can't love until you can love yourself.
That's a great point right there. If I can love you, how can you not love yourself?
Right.
Guys, I want to thank every person that's been on this show today, every commenter, every person that's come in. And this show has gone a little long, but as I said, I had gotten off the radio because I knew we weren't done. And to be honest, I can see a 2 or 3 hour telethon with this girl here at some time in the future. We will have her back if she'd like to be.
Anytime.
And every show that I've had with her has been amazing. And it's not because of so much of a topic, but and this is how my shows go. I don't have cue cards and things where it just comes from, tell me about yourself, and that's where it goes. And when she hit that one thing, I was like, oh, there it is. And we talked about the nursing home. We talked about how to get in, how to get out, where to go, what to do. And then you see this pot of soup that's stirred, and you get through it. And yes, congratulations for being free of your addiction. Lena said the little things you celebrate just mean as much as the big ones you celebrate.
Absolutely.
So true. Guys, last thing I'm going to say, I promise. Thank you for sticking with me. But if you need to talk to somebody, reach out. For the love of God, reach out. It doesn't have to be a therapist. But that's okay too. You can reach out to somebody that's going to listen. Talking about it will help. Not talking about it's only going to bury it deeper. Be that onion, peel back the layers, get rid of that core. Once you get rid of it,
pain shared is a pain lessened.
Yeah. You will find out how light you feel when you get rid of that crap. I'm telling you. Guys, take it easy. Thank you so much for being with me today. We will be back next Wednesday. Next Wednesday's guest is going to be a good one too. I'm going to have to bring some tissues because these things are getting harder and harder to do. Episode 109 is going to be fine. D to the J with a roll of waste, and we'll see you when we see you. Take care, guys. Peace.